Shalom. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael, of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This particular presentation, brothers and sisters, we do not intend for it to be long. But brothers and sisters, we intend to bring this to our people. This is on the platform, Mora Yeshaya History Lessons, due to the fact that it is a history lesson. We ask you all to comment, like, and subscribe, brothers and sisters. We hope and pray that everybody is well and will be better. So let us begin in prayer and move on in that particular manner. Hallelujah. King of all that there is, rock of all salvation through every generation, the one who sees all and is not seen, the one who judges all and is not judged. You are he, and there is none beside you, and the heaven above or on the earth beneath. We ask you to be with our minds and with our thoughts. We ask you to be with those who know you and those who know you not, O King. We ask you to even accept our prayer as we say, Toda Rabbah. Thank you very much for the blessings that you have given upon us, knowing that we are undeserving of such. For if iniquity was marked, who will stand? But there is none that sits with you on your throne. You reign here alone. There is no counsel that you get from anyone, O Holy One. For you are one, and there's no second to compare to you, to with you. You are without beginning, without end, and to you belong strength and dominion. Strengthen us, O King. Strengthen our minds, our hearts, and our thoughts. Strengthen us to be able to be better people, even in your sight, O Yah. We ask for all these things in your name, Yod Wahe, in your name only. Hallelujah. Amen. Brothers and sisters, we're going to move on in this particular matter. We hope again that everybody is well and will be better. We are on the platforms, Mora Yeshaya History Lessons and Mora Yeshaya History Lessons 2. But brothers and sisters, what we want to get into, if we will, is a matter of history, artifacts that go back to the timing of ancient Israel. We're going to start off, brothers and sisters, in this matter, to sit there and show the evidence of where we come from as a people in archaeology, to show the evidence that the things that we read in the scriptures, the people that we read in the scriptures were not, quote, made up, to bring to life, if we will, for those who are interested, these particular matters. So, brothers and sisters, we ask you all, without any further ado, to pay attention, and I say that in due respect and love, to comment, to like, and to subscribe. Thank you for your support, my lady Sarai. So let us, brothers and sisters, get into this, if we will, and just sharing it with one or two, if I may. And let us, again, bring this out to the masses. We ask you all to get your pens, your pads, your paper, and to take notes. So let us pull up the PowerPoint, brothers and sisters, and start in the slideshow from the beginning matter in that particular case. All right. If I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Giving honor, giving praises to the Most High. Artifacts of ancient Israel, setting the record straight. Shalom equals peace. We hope you all are well and will be better. We ask you all to subscribe to the channel, to comment, like, and share. Thank you. Flyers. From reading to speaking Hebrew tutorial classes. For those who do know, this coming November 1st, there will be a presentation regarding a free Hebrew class that will be, say, about going on the level of 4 hours. That's on a Wednesday on the channel Mordeh Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons. After that, the Hebrew classes will be for those who do want it by contacting me at 908-587-4841, the number that you see going across, for those who are interested. Care to learn Hebrew? From a Hebrew, look no further. With over 20 years experience in teaching Hebrew and over 5 self-published Hebrew books and over 200 copies sold. Learn Hebrew from a concerned and dedicated brother. Learn how to identify a noun, verb, singular, and plural of each, and the aspect of masculine and feminine principles in Hebrew. So the flyer is there. The number is on the screen, and you can reach out to me for those who are interested. Thank you. Let us continue, brothers and sisters. Danitepublications.com. We hope and pray that everyone is well and will be better. I can be reached at 908-587-4841. YYISRAEL, the number 22 at yahoo.com. Thank you. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Now, on the right-hand side, books for sale. The 2 books that you see on the top, From Assyria to America and From Assyria to America Part 2. Each of them are $20 each until the timing of Hanukkah, which is coming this December 7th. The book that you see there from Avaris, Alabama, that book is available for $10. And you can type in the title of each book and get it on Amazon in that particular case. Or reach out to me if you want assistance with that. Definitely appreciate it. So, brothers and sisters, let us get into this. Hebrew books online. Hebrew is Easy, Volume 5, and Hebrew is Easy, Volume 6. All right? For those who are interested in that particular case. All right? Let's go on. Hebrew books online. Hebrew is Easy, Volume 3, and Hebrew is Easy, Volume 4. All right? Hebrew books online. Hebrew is Easy, Volume 2, and Hebrew is Easy, Volume 1. Now, for those who are going to be interested in taking the Hebrew class, after November 1st, I do not charge for the classes, but the requirement is that you get the Hebrew books that we're talking about here, because the classes will be geared toward those books. All right? Again, you can get these books online on Amazon. The Deuteronomy book and the Egypt Talk book. These books are $30 each, available on Amazon. If one wants a personal signed copy, one can contact me at 908-587-4841 by text, call, or WhatsApp. I send such books through FedEx. All right? So when somebody wants a book personally from me, I send it to him or her through FedEx. All right? Just so that's known in that particular manner. Thank you for that. From Assyria to America, 1 and 2. These books are online for $20 each. one can get them on Amazon.com. The book From Assyria to America Part 1 is only $20 from now until December 7th. After that, the price then goes to, brothers and sisters, $30. If one wants a personal signed copy, one can reach me at 908-587-4841. I just want to do an intro into this, brothers and sisters, to sit there and have the books that a brother has written advertised for those who are interested. To the brothers and sisters, to the elders, and to anyone else who bought the book is definitely appreciated. The patronage is definitely appreciated. So let us continue in this particular matter. The ebooks, you can get each of them online for $10. All right. The only ebooks I have available is from Avaris, which was in Egypt, to Alabama, which is in the United States. Did you know that there was a tribe, an indigenous or Indian tribe, for the lack of a better term, named Alabama that lived in Texas? There's a tribe called Alabama, for those who are interested in that. Deuteronomy 28:15-68. That book. These two books you can get on the ebooks for those who are interested. All right. Let's continue, brothers and sisters. Get your pens, your pads, your paper, and take notes. We're going to go over this particular matter, the artifacts of ancient Israel, showing the evidence of the children of Israel. Now, brothers and sisters, we as Israelites don't need this. Those who do know, a brother just grabbed his own pen. When I teach with a pen in my hand, it kind of brings me back in the spirit, if you will. Right? The reason why they took the in slavery, why do you think that was? It was a communication matter. They did the communicating. So when we go and we dig into matters such as this, and you look at the top one there, the Shema, Ebed Yerab Am. Now, the last time I showed this, stated that I didn't know which Jeroboam it was. But upon further study, some people saying that it was the Jeroboam II and not the first Jeroboam. But be that the case, let's look at the bottom, where it actually says Abdi Ebed Hoshea, as you can see in the Hebrew in this particular matter. All right. I want to point this out maybe with the pen, if we will. All right. What you see, these three things there on the bottom, is all the same thing from a different lighting aspect and such. All right. So, as you see there on the side, we asking you all to subscribe. And to the people who did subscribe, thank you for doing so. All right. Any questions or comments concerning what we're talking about, please let it be known. Now, Hoshea was the last king of the northern tribes of Israel. It says that he was evil, but not as the kings of Israel before him. That shows us that there are certain levels of evil. Some are worse than others. That's why the judgments in Torah are not all just one and the same. If you steal $1, you can replace that dollar or work it off. If you steal a man, you can't create a man. So there's a difference. If you have premarital sex, you can give, as it says in there, shekels according to the dowry of virgins. If you commit adultery or rape, heaven forbid, you can't pay for that out of your pocket. So even though stealing is all wrong, there are certain levels of it. Even though adultery and premarital sex are both sides, one has a different aspect than the other, if you will. So these are things when we get into the laws, because we never sidetrack from it when doing what we're talking about. These are things we care to emphasize for reference purposes. Thank you for that. Let's continue, brothers and sisters. Israelites going to Assyria and shown with instruments and such. What do you see there the right-hand side? I ask, brothers and sisters, in this. To me, it looks like a walking drum that you can hold in your hand. And then you got perhaps the harp and the other instruments. This looks like, correct me if I'm wrong here, being circled. I'm going to sit there and just show one thing, time purposes, if you will. I believe right there being shown circled, symbols. Psalms 150. Hallelujah, betof umah. Praise him with the drum and the dance. Hallelujah, bezilzale shama. Praise him with the clanging cymbals. It's not far-fetched in Hebraic thought to sit there and be in musical instruments. They know Radio Rahim. Let's bring this to reality. I've seen the boom boxes as a child and them bopping their head to what the beat. This is not to play Black Man in America, Black Man from the West Indies. Most songs said Black Americans, the true Israel, like those scattered in Jamaica, the true house of Israel, like reggae because of the beat. You know what Capleton is saying? Do you know what Sanchez is saying? Do you know what Lady Saw is saying? Do you know what Patra is saying? I don't know what Elephant Man is saying, but it's that beat that even gets people like, I like it already. So when we can see our ancestors posed up on the walls of ancient Assyria with instruments, it's not that far-fetched. Now, of course, we want to point something else out, if we will, with the time allotted, right? Let's look, if we will, brothers and sisters. Show with the pen. What hairstyle is that you see there? And what hairstyle, brothers and sisters, do we see here? Brothers, that is cornrows. Whether those were so-called dreadlocks that been cornrowed back or just regular hair that's plaited backward. What people gets that hairstyle? Playing music into those rhythms, if you will, and coming together. I remember in high school when they used to sit there and just bang a beat on the table and have one lady singing reggae and having somebody else doing what you call a rap or a rhyme. So we were already, as a people, yes, musically inclined. You understand? Let us continue, if we will, to the next part. Karnak matter. In 2 Chronicles, we see that certain cities of the Israelites was captured by the Egyptians. Rehob, Beit Shan, Shunem, and Ta'anak. All these cities are in the northern kingdom of Israel. Brothers and sisters, before we continue on, I want to show a reference book to collaborate what we're talking about. Some people agree with some of the stuff this author says and some don't, but it comes with the territory. This book here, part in the cover, please, right, is called Pharaohs and Kings. I rolled my own eyes because of the way I treated this cover. I apologize for that. Don't worry, if you get a book from me, the cover's not going to look beat up. I promise you. Now, on page 124 of this book, right, this is what we see. This is south of Egypt, or south in Egypt, sorry, from where me and my lady was by what they call the pyramids of Giza. This is as you go toward the era of Elephantine or toward the area of Siwa in Egypt. And you see this in the wars of Karnak, if you will. So I just want to show how it looks from there in that particular case. We're not going to, brothers and sisters, with the time allotted, go over all of those names, but we do want to show something in particular, Israel and archaeology. Let's continue. This right here is a better picture than what I just, and this is still in Egypt to this day. Let's continue, brothers and sisters. Shishak. All right, now, if we're right in saying this is Shishak, right? That's dynasty 22. Some people say that it was actually that was called Shishak in the scriptures. If that be the case, then that would be dynasty 19. So when me and my lady was in Egypt and we saw Ramses II and the other ones, if that be true, according to some historians, we saw the prophet in the mummy against the children of Israel. Travel. It broadens your mind, brothers and sisters. In the book that I wrote, that was advertised earlier, right? Egypt Talk and Writing. I mentioned that the body of Ramses VIII has not been found. When we was in Egypt, we saw Hatshepsut, Merneptah, Ramses II, Siptah, and other former of ancient Egypt. I remember asking the tour guide, do y'all happen to have the mummy of Ramses VIII? And she said, no. I was like, okay. I didn't tell her why I asked her that. I just collaborated, thinking the Most High what a brother wrote in one's book. Why do I mention that now? Where is the tomb of Ezekiel? I'm not trying to play movie advocate, but if you were to see The Exorcist, they know what Ezekiel talked about is true. They wasn't looking for mummies in The Exorcist, quote, believer. In Ezekiel, the prophet was cited. I don't want to, quote, ruin the movie, but I don't have to look for the tomb of Ezekiel to know what I saw in that movie and Hollywood know what that truth is. You understand? So, just pointing that out. If Ramses VIII evidence is inside the museum, which it's not, for him to be in existence, and we can't find the tomb of Ezekiel, that means that Ramses VIII never existed. So the Merneptah Stela, not the Merneptah Stela, the Manetho record, for what it's worth, that means that is a whole lot in, because he mentioned several pharaohs that you just can't find from Dynasty 1 nor 2. Because I asked the tour guide as well, do y'all happen to have Namur? Nope. Oh, we ain't got all of those. So what you wasn't supposed to dig up, you still can't sit there and find that. Israel's tombs, Jeremiah 8 talks about it. And for those, their mother and or their dad, you don't want somebody digging it up and putting it inside the museum. That's just what that is. All right, so let's continue after showing what we talked about, 180 cities at Karnak, and the different biblical names that we see in that case. 43 Bible sites in what we just talked about, brothers and sisters, in this list here. So let's continue with the time allotted. The matter of Jehu and the Assyrian king Shalmaneser III. Brothers and sisters, is that a hat on his head? And underneath such can be cornrows? Am I reaching? Am I trying to stretch for something for somebody to be black that probably wasn't? No, brothers and sisters. Jehu, the king of Israel, was definitely what you call of color. That's one picture of him on the right side and a close-up picture of him on the left-hand side. Did you know in the slave ships they used to cut the black man's beard? Do you know at jobs, while we talk about here, H-A-I-R? Well, once it comes down into it, to look presentable, miss me with that. Because when you go to the culinary schools, the white man there has a beard that's down to who knows what, even if he covers it. Real talk. They tell you to cut your beard because they want your face to look like the behind of a child. Zakwan means beard in Hebrew. Zaquin means elder. They don't want you to have that elder matter. A lion is known by one's mane. It said the Gadite had faces like lions in Chronicles. Moses described Dan as a lion. Jacob described Judah as a lion. A lion, in part, is known by his mane. So why do you think they want to sit there and say, don't sit there and have it like that? Sit there and cut it off. Look, quote, clean. My daughter's here wasn't nappy. Sit there and state that you should get a relaxer. She wasn't upset. So what you talking about getting a relaxer for? so the perm can go through her scalp into her brain and damage her womb so she could become sterile. You understand? We're dealing with beasts, brothers and sisters. This is not to get sidetracked, but we definitely want to get back into this. This book, Israelite History as it relates to the world, gets into what we're talking about here. Let's continue with the time allotted. The matter of Hazael, the king of Syria. In archaeology, on the left-hand side, we want to show, if we will, with the laser pointer, right? Hazael. El is not from the Canaanite pantheon. El was known before the sons of Ham existed when you go to Mahalalel into scriptures in Genesis chapter 5. Kazah means to have a vision. Now, he was the king of Syria. And there's a picture of him being shown right there. What is the difference between, for those who know, that kind of picture and the stuff that they sit there and show in Ghana and in Nigeria, just in the ruach of it, right? Where they show, and I'm not going to show it, but they're idols. Please explain what is the difference. You got them same kind of round eyes, the broad nose and the thick black lips that they show on the artwork of Western African culture. And this person, Hazael, was in the land of Syria, which was called the land of Aram in ancient days. So when they can't make the distinction between the sons of Israel and the sons of Ham, that is part of the reason why. You understand? So brothers and sisters, let us continue with the time allotted. Oh, I wanted to show, according to the Egyptians, this is how the Syrians of old looked as they were bringing tribute. When me and my lady was in Egypt inside that museum, you know, they actually showed one of their things with the nose chopped off, if that ain't the most disrespectful thing. They get rid of statues, not because you shouldn't worship a statue. They want to get rid of it to hide the black evidence of it. You understand? So brothers and sisters, why do we see this person's face scratched off? What were you trying to hide that you see there being circled? This is why we want to bring these things out, brothers and sisters. Let's continue. Isar Hadon and Tirhaka. Isar Hadon is the person that you see there on the left-hand side. Tirhaka is what you see on the right-hand side. Now, this little person right here is supposed to be the Assyrian version of Tirhaka being humbled. Ain't that something? They was doing that kind of stuff for quite some time in the matter of history, if we will, for edification purposes, brothers and sisters. All right. Now, any questions or comments, please feel free to put it into the chat. Let us continue, brothers and sisters. By the way, that Tirhaka you see there ruled in Egypt in Dynasty 25. You know who we met? You know who we met, right? Ahaz's son in the Tanakh named Hezekiah. He and Hezekiah, king of Israel, knew each other. And in the scriptures, unlike the Talmud or the Talmud, a much later doctrine, and all these other kind of weird doctrines that come up after the timing, say, of 70 AD, Ham was cursed with being black. And he lied, so he got big lips. Israelites didn't come with that. And you can see a straight Hamite. And those who know the history knows that Esarhaddon is mentioned in 2 Chronicles. And Tirhaka, whose reigns with each other corresponded at a certain time of being the same, one of Assyria, one of ancient Egypt. 2 Kings chapter 19 has it by saying that he is what? The king of Ethiopia, but was ruling in Egypt, or from Ethiopia. From Cush, ruling in Egypt. You understand? So these are things we care to bring out. And of course, men being their racist selves, they sat there and wanted to cut the nose off of somebody who knew King Hezekiah of Judah. Amazing. Okay, let's continue if we will. Esarhaddon in Assyrian is Ashur Aha Edina. Why do I want to point that out? Because there's translation and transliteration. You understand? Esarhaddon lived for 44 years. Judah in Assyrian is transliterated as Iod, Iaudi. The D does not drop off, brothers and sisters. So how does it go from Yahuda to Iudi to Yahud to Judah to Jew? What happened with the D in the word Jew? It dropped off because you know you're not said people. So you couldn't even go with a transliteration and call it that. And I pointed this out in the book Egypt Talk and Writing for those interested. Esarhaddon was a ruler in both Assyria and Babylon. But he in time set up his son Ashurbanipal as ruler in Assyria and Shamasha Shumukin as king in Babylon. Esarhaddon, whose father was assassinated by his brothers, also took over part of Egypt, and in the return of Judah to Jerusalem, we know he was recorded as Samaria. Samaria was the capital of the northern kingdom of Israel at one point. So these are things, brothers and sisters, we care to bring out for reference purposes. You know what you see right there on the left-hand side is the record from Esarhaddon. We just showed his picture right here, right? The people that you see there on the left-hand side, that's Esarhaddon. On the right-hand side is Tahaka. Both of them mentioned in the scriptures. That right there is he talking about he defeating Manasseh, the king of Judah. Let's continue, brothers and sisters. Nahum chapter 3, verse 8 through verse 10. Now, when me and my lady was in Egypt, we didn't go that far south to sit there and see this particular part here. But that's in Egypt. And that's the Assyrians' tribute to themselves written in Egyptian wars about what they did to the Egyptians. See, and it's not to sit there and be disrespectful to the conscious community. The Israelites, they was just getting their behind kicked, and they didn't say behind, but we all on this channel have respect as grandmothers and daughters and uncles and great uncles and listening. The Israelites were just getting their butt kicked by the Assyrians. So if the scriptures talk about Israel being defeated by the Assyrians in the book of Kings, in the book of Chronicles, in the book of Isaiah, and the Assyrians talk about defeating the Israelites, doesn't that lead credence to the fact of it being true and not a lie? It's not to get sad or too personal. As a youngster, I got jumped by some guys. That was on a Friday. I went to the camp that next Shabbat, the next day, like ain't nothing happened. Glory to the Most High. That next Monday, when I went to school, I saw one of the guys that had did the attack upon me, and he couldn't really look me in my face. He had to keep on just trying to be like, I don't know if V, which is part of my government, is going to try to pull something out, which I had nothing to quote pull out. Why do I mention that, brothers and sisters? And it's not to bring up something sad. Those guys knew who was who. I know who's who, but I didn't give them respect in my book. I didn't say Anthony, Patrick, Jason, and I didn't sit there and list the people who jumped me, and I made those names up, by the way, in my book. So the Egyptians are not going to sit there and talk about in their records, and these people defeated me. They were known to try to hide defeats. Israel, on the other hand, was just like, we lost. Got to take that L, take that loss. That's the difference between Israel's record and the record of other nations. We won everything. I asked the tour guide, I don't mean to sit there and castigate no one, because history says Ramses or the Hittites won that battle. So I said, who do you think won? Ramses. I was like, yeah, I figured y'all would say that in Egypt. But he married the Hittite king's daughter. So really, who did win and who did lose? Who knows? Maybe both records are off. But the distinction is this. In the culture of the Israelites, we begin to see a reason why Israel fell. And that's what we want to point out in archaeology as well. So let us continue, brothers and sisters. Art thou better than no Ammon that was situated among the rivers, that had the waters round about her, whose rampart was the sea, and of the sea her wall? Ethiopia and Egypt were thy strength, and it was infinite. Put and Dubim were thy helpers. This is from the book of Nahum. Do you know who Put is? The Put, brothers and sisters, we want to sit there and ask this question, right? Put, they say in one point, were the people of Somalia. And I'm not saying that that's not true. But let me ask this. If Put from the line of Ham are the people in Somalia, then who are the Futa Jalon that you see in West Africa that sold the black man to the Portuguese? Follow me now. We're talking archaeology. The Futa Jalon, could they be the people of Put that it talks about here? P and F being synonymous in different languages? Who were the Futa Jalon people in Western Africa, knowing that people migrated? The whole story and ideology of saying that America is the true biblical lands in that case is not accurate. There's too much evidence in the East for such to be accurate. All right. So that's a question one wanted to ask. Yet, when she carried away, she went into captivity. Her young children also were dashed in pieces at the head of all the streets, and they cast lot for her honorable men, and all her great men were bound in chains. Now, let's look. Ethiopia and Egypt were thy strength. So let's go back here, if we will, right? This is coming from the book of Nahum, right? If we will. Now, Taharka and Esarhaddon, the guy that you see there on the right-hand side, he's an Ethiopian, a Cushite. We just read about Cush in the scriptures. Without the racist thing, you're dark because of this. No, that's not Israelite teachings. And then you see Esarhaddon of Assyria on the right-hand side. So now when we go into the book of Nahum, get your pens, your pads, and your paper to take notes. Let's see what we can gather. Ezekiel 29 and Zephaniah chapter 2. Subscribe, comment, like, share. We are asking you all. My lady, you see there on the left-hand side when we was in Egypt. You know that pyramid that you see behind? That's the pyramid of Dosha. Brothers and sisters. The step pyramid, as it's called. On the other side of that, they got their images of their serpents, because that was a big thing in Egypt. That was the first day we was in Egypt and part of the tour that we was taking on. And it was very enlightening to have studied something and then being able to see it. Travel, get your passports, travel, see certain things. Don't be a hermit. Israel, our book tells us if a man's on a far journey. So going on a journey is not a sin. All right. What you see there on the right-hand side is what we're in part going to talk about when we read this. And the land of Egypt shall be desolate and waste, and they shall know that I am Yah, because he has said, the river is mine, and I have made it. Therefore, behold, I am against thee and against thy rivers, and I will make the land of Egypt utterly waste and desolate, from Migdal to Syene, even to the border of Ethiopia. So this desert that me and my lady was sticking to, that you see there, that is a wasteland. Nothing grows there. The Arabians that are there smoke cigarettes and throw it right by the pyramids. So when we begin to see what happened in Ezekiel's time, prophecy is during Ezekiel's timing, yes, but it takes us, brothers and sisters, to the timing of Dynasty 26. Pharaoh Necho, Pharaoh Hafra, and so forth, of Dynasty 26. So that way, brothers and sisters, we can sit there and see, for reference purposes, what we are talking about. Hopefully everybody is well and will be better. All right? Brothers and sisters, Dynasty 26. After that, you get Dynasty 27. Let's see what happened and see if the word of the Most High came to pass. And I will turn the captivity of Egypt and will cause them to return to the land of Patros, into the land of their origin. What is the land of Patros? In Egyptian, it's called Piteret. That's by Nubia of today, modern northern Sudan. That's where the Egyptians in part state they come from. So when it says Patros, that goes from that land all the way down to the Rwenzori Mountains that you see in modern day Uganda, that the even ancient Egyptians records state that they descended from and came from. And they shall be there a lowly kingdom. So after Dynasty 26, you get Dynasty 27. So Babylon is coming to power then. So when the Egyptians came back after being defeated by the Assyrians, they had their kingdom in Dynasty 26. But like the Bible tells us in the book of 2 Kings chapter 24, line upon line, precept upon precept, right? It said the king of Egypt came not out of his land, for the king of Babylon had taken everything that belonged to the king of Egypt. That's in 2 Kings 24. It shall be the lowliest of kingdoms. Lowliest compared to Assyria, lowliest compared to Babylon, lowliest compared to Mitanni, lowliest compared to the Kassites. Let's continue, brothers and sisters. Neither shall it any more lift itself up above the nations, and I will diminish them, that they shall no more rule over the nations. Ezekiel stated that. So when you see after Dynasty 26, Egypt didn't have it popping and doing their thing, as the saying goes, by comparison. These are things we want to point out. Archaeology to set the record straight. Oh, Israelites only deal with the Bible. No, it seems that the scriptures is the book you don't want to deal with. And it's not to knock on others. Israel, we got to know to deal with our book, like loving your neighbor as yourself and not defrauding your neighbor. But let's move on, brothers and sisters, if you will, right? Zephaniah 1 and 2, all right? And as my lady stated, brothers and sisters, that the Torah is too a book of archaeology. Why do you think in the book of Numbers it said that Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt? What is Zoan? That's in Numbers chapter 13. Zoan was called Tanis. So when it mentions Hebron being one of the oldest cities, and Jericho too being one of the oldest cities in the world, we might be able to see why Jericho, after its fall, was never supposed to be rebuilt. That's the first oldest city on earth, according to many, dating back, they say, to 8,000 BCE or so. Of course, we know those dates are tentative. All right? So, the word of Yah, which came into Zephaniah, the son of Cushi, the son of Gedaliah, the son of Amariah, the son of Hezekiah, in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah. You Ethiopians also, you shall be slain by my sword. Now, let's look at what Zephaniah is talking about. In the Hebrew, we want to show with the laser pointer, right? Any questions or comments? Please feel free to type it into the chat. It goes on to say, Gamatem Kushim, Kadle Karbi Hema. What does that word mean? Brothers and sisters. Kadle Karbi. The word Kereb means sword. Karbi means my sword. So Kadle, that first word you see there that's circled, remember Hebrews right to left, it comes from the Hebrew word kalal or kilel, which means profaned. So you Ethiopians too are profane, they too are by my sword profaned. That's what that's talking about. So now, when you begin to see in the book of Zephaniah, it starts off in chapter 2 saying, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired, before the decree break forth. So all these different nations were going to come and have problems with each other. Egypt, Ethiopia, Assyria, Babylon, and Israel in history was caught in a mix of all of that. So when Zephaniah begins off in chapter 2 by saying, gather yourselves together, because what the Most High is going to do, it says he will stretch out his hand against the north and destroy Assyria and will make Nineveh a desolation and dry like the wilderness. Brothers and sisters, I want to sit there and show what we're talking about for reference purposes, giving honor to the Most High. I'm going to cite this book here. It's called Thebes in Egypt. All right? And on page 41, let's see if we see what this history book collaborates what we've been talking about. It says, the main threats to stability came not from within, but from without. As the reign of Shabaka's successor, but one Taharka. Didn't we just show Taharka earlier? Yes, let's go on. Coincided with the expansion of Assyrian Empire. In 674 BCE, Esarhaddon, did we just show him earlier? Yes. Attempted to invade but was repelled. In 671, he drove Taharka from Memphis. Memphis in the scriptures is called Noph. N-O-P-H. You see that in Jeremiah. Now, how does that, brothers and sisters, coincide? Jeremiah, we're going to show you, in Zephaniah, prophesied around the same time. So now when it says Esarhaddon, and it mentions Taharka, or mentioned in the scriptures, and then it mentions King Josiah in the scriptures, let's see what happened. The Egyptian king clearly fought back from a southern stronghold, since Esarhaddon was on the way to quell an uprising when he died in 669 BCE. His successor Ashurbanipal reestablished Assyrian control of Egypt, driving Taharka to Thebes, where the later died, passing the kingdom on to Tentanami. So when it says about Egypt coming back but being a lowly kingdom, you see the Assyrians all up in that particular mix. And that's on this, in this book on page 41, shown squared in the pink highlighting. All right, brothers and sisters, we here at Danitepublicatons don't claim to know everything, but we want to bring the word of the Most High out to the people, and thankful to Yah that he is allowing us to do it. When we used to read when I was a child in the camp, Yah is of truth and his prophets are prophets of truth. When you can bring the Tanakh to life to show the history of what's being talked about, Egypt shall fall, Israel gather yourselves together, for the decree break forth on these nations. So all these different nations that we see in Zephaniah correlating with Jeremiah's time are all in the upheaval. Israel, you gather yourselves together. So when you got Palestinians and Israelis, and you got America, this and that, Israel, gather yourselves together before the decree, because the Most High don't change. So when you see all these nations in a tumult, what did our people do with the Maroons in Jamaica? The English and the Spanish are fighting. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to Trelawney and other places and go and lock our hair, go down and defeat them and be called dreads. That's what happened for those who want to know that history. When you see your enemies that are not at peace with each other, that is the perfect time to come together. Believe it or not. Every nation knows that. That's what the Roman historian stated. We would have been able to have a much difficult time, but the Ayuda or the Jews weren't getting along. The Roman historian stated that if the children of Israel were getting along, there's no way that Rome would have conquered. A white man on the video stated that black people in Compton, when they became black because they used to be white, don't support each other. The white man talking about the history of Compton in 1971 said that the Negroes were not supporting each other in business. Let's continue, brothers and sisters, for edification purposes and with the time allotted. Yaazniah and Gedaliah, Hebrew inscriptions. So these are things we just want to point out for edification purposes. All right. Now let's look. You have in the Hebrew, brothers and sisters, with the laser pointer, Yaazniah. Benai Melech or Ben Melech. Melech or Malak means to rule or to be a king. Ain't too hard to figure what that is, brothers and sisters. Jeremiah chapter 40 verse 8 and Jeremiah 41 verse 2. So we want to show the history coinciding in this particular matter. The words of Jeremiah the son of Hilkiah, to whom the word of Yah came in the days of Josiah the son of Ammon, king of Judah, in the 13th year of his reign. So brothers and sisters, let's look, if we will, right? It said the word of Yah that came to Zephaniah the son of Cushi, goes on to say, in the days of Josiah son of Ammon. So this is how we know that the prophet Zephaniah and the prophet Jeremiah were prophesying around the same time frame. Let's see what it says in Jeremiah 40 with the time allotted. Then they came to Gedaliah, to Mizpah, even Yishmael, the son of Netaniah, and Yochanan and Jehonatan, the sons of Quereah, and Sariah, the son of Tanhumet, and the sons of Ephai, the Natophalites, and Yazaniah, the son of the Maakatite, they and their men. And it goes on to say, brothers and sisters, we just saw what we're talking about, bringing it to life, if we will, with the time allotted, right? So Jezaniah or Yezaniah, shown there, we want to show with the highlighter, right? Here we see that in the scriptures, and here we see it inside the inscription that we see right here on the left-hand side, just there being circled. Ain't too hard to figure out what we're talking about for reference purposes. Now, of course, this doesn't make you righteous. It doesn't mean that you are good even with the Most High. But brothers and sisters, for those who are interested, I'm going to say this. This don't hold the hill of beans if you ain't doing right by your people. See all these channels that are now in the upheaval, O Israel? The conscious community. This one arguing with this one. This one arguing with that one. When they are in a tumult, you sons of Israel, even if they don't know themselves as Israel in a tumult, get your stuff together. We can't see the Most High is exposing. You used to be the man on Sanet channel. Now, you don't think that can happen to an Israelite channel? The temple in Jerusalem, well, we found this archaeology thing. The Most High said, I had it burnt, I'm paraphrasing, had it burnt down because of the wickedness of my people Israel. So if the temple was burnt down for their wickedness, and the Most High allowed you to speak his word on the platform, and you not living accordingly, don't you think that he'll sit there and have that channel shut down? One way or the other? He doesn't change. We got to change. All this archaeology in Hebrew, in history, means nothing coming from a person who's not trying to understand even the names you're talking about. When I wasn't living right, and I'm not perfect, I remember my mother said something that hit me harder than a belt. What my mother said to me was this. Son, because I changed my name at a certain time when I was 19 from Emiel to Yeshaya, for those who do know. And my mother said something to me that said this: you cannot be walking around with these holy kind of names and these holy names and you not living upright. Why did the so-called Negro come into existence? The Most High took his name off of his people and we became Black, African American, West Indian, 2 continents. They didn't want to sit there and call you by the tribe, so they just said, you're the Indians of the West. Barbados is a Portuguese word meaning beard. Trinidad is a Spanish word meaning what? Trinity. Everyone's still debating about where did Africa come from? Alfir? Did it come from Ophir? Did it come from Scipio Africanus? And if so, was it his name or did he take it from? So that whole thing is still in an uproar. But what is Israel to do? Come together. This is not to say, like some may say, well, ancient Israel knew Hebrew. Doesn't make Hebrew look bad because they wasn't living the Hebrew way to their best of their ability. Learn Hebrew. But if you want to point something out in the scriptures, Ezra taught the people the law in chapter 5 through chapter 8 before he taught them the language in chapter 10. I want to state that again. The great scribe and elder Ezra in the scriptures, before we get this Hebrew lesson, you're going to know not to have idols. You're going to know not to get tattoos. You're going to know not to steal. You're going to know not to be a harlot. You're going to know not to swindle your neighbor. You're going to know that you're supposed to be an upright person. Before we get into this Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, hey, wow. No, don't live Reshah. Don't be wicked. How about that? How about those words? And this is something pointed out to me by brothers when I was around there in a congregation, Hashaba Yisrael. Psalm 79. How long, O Yah, will thou be angry forever? Imagine if we were asked, how long will you hate your mother and father and your children, your brothers and your sisters? How long will you not get along? Pour out that wrath upon the nations that know thee not, and upon the kingdoms that call not upon thy name. Israel, your kingdom fell because while you were naming children after the name of the Most High, such as, no disrespect, Yaazniah, Gedaliah, Yeremiah, Yeshaya, etc., which is some of the same names that we had on the slave ships, but that'll be presented in another time. You wasn't living up to your name. So you had the name stripped from you, O house of Israel. And you became a byword, a proverb, a sign, and a wonder. You understand? This means nothing if you're not living right. That doesn't mean, or should I say, it don't mean nothing coming from you. Live right. Live clean. You sell books. You're an author. And somebody buys your book and they trust you and you don't sit there and deliver and you go in hiding and I'm not saying. You got to be kidding me. That dude who got exposed recently for his great crime with children, no need to even mention names, right? Online. He would go and videotape himself with the same video saying that he was sending somebody their book in the mail. And when they never got it, he said, don't you see the video of me doing it? Danitepublications is not going out like that. We're not doing that. I've been, thank the Most High, I showed the books earlier. I've been a published author a little over 7 years. Not one person can say that they paid for my book and didn't get it. And only 3 people got a refund in 7 years. If you trust me, to do the Zelle, if you trust me to do the Cash App, which I prefer Zelle, but that's another subject. If you trust me to want to do PayPal, it is my duty and my obligation while talking about names such as Yazania. Do you know what that name means? It means you're appealing to the Most High to give heed, to take his ear to you. Ozen means ear. Yazania, Yazin, Yah will hear. You don't want to be living foul and want Yah to hear that. Let me send down my Malakim. We've come to destroy this place because we understand this wickedness is great. Lot, get your family and get up out of here. Because we didn't find 10 people righteous in Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboyim. Because it wasn't just Sodom and Gomorrah. It was 4 cities. If there be 50 righteous, 40, 30, 20, 10. Conversation's done. In 4 cities, the Most High didn't find 10 righteous. And he destroyed it. In Jamaica, brothers and sisters, elders told me this. Port Royal, living like Rome, in their wickedness, breaking the laws of Leviticus. Elder from Jamaica, I think he said that he was from St. Catherine or Kingston, one of the places. Him and I used to work at the same security place. He said that God took the ground up in Port Royal, Jamaica in 1901 and flipped it and killed everybody that was upon it because they was living wicked. And I was like, wow. So I looked up what happened in Port Royal, Jamaica, living a certain way, and the Most High destroyed it. I was like, wow. So we don't want that kind of matter, brothers and sisters. You don't want your channel to be taken up and flipped like you see happening in the conscious community, oh sons of Israel. And trust that the Most High will bless your channel to reach who it needs to reach. Israel, stop running to these other platforms and channels. Because I'm not trying to sit there and say this school with this school with Israel, but that guy who runs that whole quote-unquote Sarnetta TV thing, just to not get sidetracked. When the brothers who was following the guy Tazadakia and the feds ran up in there, Sarnetta was up there in Harlem talking about, where's your God at? Now you got people, Israelites, sitting with them when he already asked, where's your God? Yeah, Israelites may have differences of understanding, but we need to come to, as it says, come together, O nation not desired. Because your man fell is the reason why you got to try to run back. I got to get views, so I'm going to go to the house of Israel. Israel's going to be a blessing to everybody else but Israel. What does it say in Jeremiah? They feed on the crown of your head. Stop letting people take advantage of you, O house of Israel. Don't let people eat off of you while you're sitting up there wondering while they on the crown of your Jeremiah 2. North and Tapanhes, 2 places in Egypt. Feed on the crown of your head. And everybody else is getting everything but you, like Isaiah 51. You lay on the ground with your back there like, okay, I humble. The Most High don't like that. The Most High said, be strong and of good courage. Trust that Yah on your own platform will bless it and stop running to sit with the seat of the scorners because you need views. The Most High will make it happen. Let's continue, brothers and sisters. Thank you for the time. Didn't want to get sidetracked, but let's get into this. Jeremiah 1, we read that already. Let's continue. Nehemiah chapter 2, Geshem the Arab. But when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the servant, the Ammonite, and Geshem the Arabian heard it, they laughed us to scorn and despised us and said, what is this thing that you do that you rebel against the king? So what are we pointing out? This is from the record of what dates timing to Nehemiah about Geshem the Arab that we read of in Numbers. I mean, pardon me, in Nehemiah. You understand? So let's continue, brothers and sisters, in this matter. Thank you. 4th century BCE. All right. Going to leave that there. You can screenshot that. I just want to take with the pen in red. All right. And this is Yahud. And that's how the Persians described us in this particular manner. All right. Just want to point that out. Next slide, brothers and sisters. Thank you for that. Let's continue. The true Israelites were scattered in all directions. The slaves that were brought to America are descendants of those Israelites that were dispersed, in into Africa many, many years ago, about 2,500 years ago. Cyrene, 125 CE. Elephantine, 600 BCE. Temetit, 1492 CE. Ethiopia, 955 BCE. Uganda, line of kings tracing their lineage back to David. Uganda tradition. Libya, 640 CE. Israelite Queen Dia Kahina organized an army to defend the Roman and Arab incursions into North Africa. Kazembe, 1831. Semitic Africans whose king wears a military head wrap resembling that of the Israelite high priest. Marrakesh, 1000 to 1500 CE. Hebrews allowed to practice the Torah during the Islamic period. Tangier, there's the book of Babylon Symbol 2 talks about that, by the way. 1150 CE, Israelite sanctuary established by Bnei Musa, sons of Moses. Kimnuria, medieval Hebrew state north of the Senegal River. Ghana, 300 CE. Hebrew dynasty established by Za. El Yemeni lasts about 1,000 years, finally known as the Songhai Empire. Lam, 12th century, Hebrew kingdom, 200 miles east of Timbuktu. Niger River, time frame 1850 CE. 7 princes descended from the kings of ancient Israelites. Fatasi tradition. Brothers and sisters, these are things we care to point out for reference purposes. If I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Thank you for that, family. All right, let's continue. Stay tuned for part 2. Danitepublicatons. Book sale, books for sale. Starting now to December 7th, 2023. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. Hoping everybody is well and will be better. The presentation you have watched is now concluded, brothers and sisters, and we are going to, and bringing this out for edification purposes. Leave this up there and close out in prayer. All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding. Hopefully, you all will subscribe, like, and comment. Hopefully, people will patronize, brothers and sisters, this particular matter. All right? Thank you, family. Shalom. Most High be with you all. Reach out 908-587-4841. Let's close out in prayer. Modim Rabim Lefaneka Ya Eloheinu. Much thanks unto thee, O Most High, our King. Moshienu Zurenu, our Savior and our Rock. Ein Kimoka Bashamayim O Ba'aretz. There is none like you in the heaven above or in the earth beneath. Al King Raklaka Anaknu Mitpalim. Therefore only to you do we pray. Araklaka Anaknu Mitwadim Katotenu. Only to you do we confess our sins. Salaklanu Anaknu Shoalim Olka. We ask you, O Yah, to even forgive us. Wagam King Raklaka Ataha El Hayakid Asha Anaknu Shoalim. For you are the only one, the only God to whom we ask for forgiveness. Let the week be a blessing for us, O Yah, and let it be, brothers and sisters, us loving one another. Shalom. Most High be with you all. Lala Tob. Good night. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to have more presentations in the future.